Let's
All
do
right,
it.
good morning, Precious. I am looking forward to this conversation for sure. So, just for those listening, I'll have Precious kind of introduce herself professionally in a little bit. But first off, the reason I'm bringing her on here today is that most of the interviews I've done with people in the past have been with people who are not particularly confident or comfortable on camera and talk to them about their
Mhm.
experience and their journey and all that, right? You can go find a dozen episodes like that easily. What I haven't yet done is had a chance to talk to someone who's never really struggled with confidence on camera and just understand their mind better, understand their worldview better, and their perception and their priorities and values and all these things. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to be talking to Precious about her experience on camera and kind of what her self-talk sounds like and all of that. So anyways, before we jump in, Precious, could you just introduce yourself to us and explain a little bit more about the work you do professionally and your background?
Yes, my name is Precious Williams, and I'm the proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious. And I literally teach the art and the science of the most killer elevator pitches, media pitches, investor pitches, and speaker pitches. I've been on everything from Shark Tank, CNN, Wall Street Journal, top business shows around the world, movies, documentaries, and I'm really from the hood of St. Louis, Missouri. So if you're wondering what pitching is, it's really about giving someone like a juicy nugget, a juicy morsel, a brief introduction of who you are that makes them want to talk more to you, take a meeting with you, and continue on having the conversation. And as a 13-time national champion, I've been able to truly make moves with that and help others do the same. And I'm also the author of Bad Bitches and Power Pitches for Women Entrepreneurs and Speakers Only, the #1 best-selling book. So that's me in a nutshell. Fun, curvy girl about town, female MacGyver of business, and this is what we do. Precious Williams, proud founder and CEO. Perfect Pitches by Precious.
Well, I would say that right there was a perfect pitch. So thank you for that. Obviously, something you're good at. All right, cool. So I guess to kind of to kick things off, walk me through how you got started using video in your business. When did that happen and why did that happen?
I really feel like with Bum Bum, I really started. So what happened was I was talking with my business coach, and she says, you know what, Precious? Most of your clients come from actually hearing you and seeing you speak. And she said, in written form, you're great. You've written, two bestsellers. But she says there's something about when people see you. So instead of thinking about writing newsletters, make sure you start your YouTube channel or beef it up. But why don't you think about Bomb Bomb? And I'm thinking, word, I heard of that. So I went on, I was like, you mean I could record videos of myself and send them to people? And I started sending them out, and people were responding. I didn't even know, I know about call to action, but I never thought that people would really respond to my videos and answer questions and tell me how they're feeling and things like that. And I was like, where have y'all been all my life? So that's how that started. Being a professional speaker since I was 16 years old, I know the power of how I am in front of people. I had no idea that that even translated on video the same way. So that's how it started. And I'll come on, whether fully made up or just as I am, to show what real entrepreneurship really is like. Are you always glam? No. Does every decision you make, is it perfect? No. But you can still be visible. And as long as you're visible, people will think of you top of mind for a specific thing that you do exceptionally well. So that's how I started.
Interesting. So I kind of assumed you've been doing video for a long time, but this is a fairly new endeavor of yours.
Well, yeah, I've had a YouTube channel, but you know how when you don't really nurse your YouTube channel because you're so
Yeah.
busy flying here and there and flying here and there, but to really connect with your audience, I had no idea I was neglecting my mailing list because I was always gone. But there's something about I make a commitment to do 1 or 2 videos a week, so they look forward to getting them, and so that's what's been great about the experience.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. So people weren't looking forward to your newsletters in the past, you don't think?
Let's be clear, no. And I thought it's also because you're not really sure what to really have if you do it too much. Or if you do it so infrequently, I didn't even know I was on her list.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So have you found that it feels about the same to be speaking on camera in front of people or to be speaking actually in front of people? Or do you find one easier or one more difficult than the other?
I find speaking on stage and actually connecting with people to be easier for me because I feel the energy. I feel the vibes. You know, it's like I liken it to being a professional athlete. Like when you run out and you like people go crazy, you love that. But when you're doing it on video, you know, you can see the look on their faces, but it's not the same as getting that true life energy. So you have to do more to encourage people to participate. Can I do it? Of course, I do it every day. I probably speak 4 to 5 times a week. And then that's not including training my clients. That's not including posts and LinkedIn lives and Facebook lives and stuff like that. The stuff that I really love to do. So it's easier for me to do it live in person than to get on a video. But I'd rather do live in person than video than written word.
Yeah, I see that. So when you're recording videos, whether it's for your YouTube channel or using a video email service like BombBomb to send personalized videos, is there a part of you that feels nervous, that feels butterflies, that feels I don't look good enough today? Is that voice in your head or no?
I can honestly say no. I think the only voice that goes through my head is, what's the content going to be? Because I can
Interesting.
perform like nobody's business. I've been doing it for a long time, but what do I want to say that's going to pierce the heart and the mind? I don't get on just to talk BS. And if I'm going to get on to talk BS, you're going to see it in the caption, talking my ish today. You know what I mean? And because I'm so transparent and authentic, you see it. You know what I mean? You see it. Like there are times I get on with one tooth in my mouth because, I knocked my tooth out um, coming off stage of a speaking event in February. I had a crown put on, but, the crown was supposed to be an implant by April. It's now August.
Oh my goodness.
So I have to put in a temporary thing until it gets fixed. And I live in a hot zone of New York. So you just don't want to just be going places with an exposed mouth. So, I've been on camera and people, what people have, I had a big speaking gig in front of a major corporate, I don't know if it was Microsoft or something. And I got on camera with one tooth and I said, y'all, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. So I'm exposing myself to y'all first and let y'all know that if I tell y'all to show up imperfectly perfect, I'm going to show up. And this is what I'm dealing with right now. And I never felt so much love because people were like, Precious, we always look at you a certain way. And here you are imperfect and you're giving us permission to just go after it, whether we look 100% or 90% or 70% or 50%. And that really made me feel good that my message is penetrating me as well as it's penetrating them. So that's why it's
So
important for them to connect with me via video.
I love something you said there so much. You said, I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but what I heard was by you showing up and showing your imperfections, you're giving them permission to also show up imperfectly as they are.
Yes, my one of my business coaches is Ty Goodwin Castens, and she says when you give yourself when you step into your purpose, you give another person permission to step into theirs. So even though I'm a trailblazer, so I will get all the cuts, the bruises, and stuff because I'm the first to go through it. Afterwards, people will see that it was done. So now they know what can be done.
So it's almost like your, I don't know what the word is, right? Your slight embarrassment or humiliation, doing a video with one tooth out, right? Or any of these things you might feel negative, it almost seems like it has a higher purpose, right? A higher
It
calling to
does.
why you're doing it.
It does. And I walk in my purpose every day. As I told you before, years ago, I was homeless. And in fact, I had a phone call this morning with one of my friends who's a doctor, not a PhD doctor, I should say.
Mhm.
And she said, Precious, you inspire so many. I said, y'all inspire me. You think because I overcame that. And then you throw in all the other accolades. I said, I literally live in a zone where I know anything is possible because I overcame myself. If you ever watch Mortal Kombat, the old movie, bad CGI, all of that, Liu Kang had to face three things. I never remember what the third thing was, but he had to face himself. He had to face his fear. My greatest fear is to be anonymous, that I did not matter. And that's what I grew up hearing all the time, that I would never make it. I was ugly. I was stupid. I was this and that. But still having a little voice tell me, you're a star. They just don't know it yet. Keep going. it doesn't make sense right now, but one day it'll all make sense. And then to face myself that I am not perfect. My pitches are, but I am not perfect. And you know what? I haven't met a perfect person yet. I haven't met that person. But I'll stand in my ish and say it's okay. I'm 41. I'm practically told I'm over the hill. And I feel like this. I'm just getting started. What about you?
Yeah.
I can be what does this guy say? I'd rather been a has been than a never was.
Yeah. So for you, what I'm hearing there is that, one of your biggest fears is obscurity and anonymity, right? For most people, that's not their biggest fear, right? For most
Nope.
people, they're fairly comfortable in anonymity and obscurity. They're afraid of ridicule, they're afraid of embarrassment, they're afraid of shame, right? They're afraid of these things. Any idea why those are flip-flop for you? Why anonymity is a bigger fear than humiliation?
Because I truly know what it's like to be anonymous. I know what it's like to not be the squeaky wheel that gets the actual oil. I know what it's like to grow up around people constantly telling you you're not going to be anything and using it as fuel. Like I've fallen many times in life, fallen far that people are like you'll never get up, and to rise up with like the phoenix rising, and to show people what is possible when you dare. I don't think most people really want to be anonymous. Why are so many people trying to be famous? It's because they know being in the background doesn't get you much. They know it. So many people who you wouldn't think want to be famous, who want to be talked about, who want to be, they're just telling you they'd rather be that way because deep down, I think we fear more success than we do failure. So with success comes the general public talking about you, making snap judgments about you and stuff like that. And you're still trying to learn who you are. You're still trying to figure it all out. What if you say the wrong thing? What if you, and I've lived long enough a life to know this world isn't politically correct. I know people want me to be, but that's why I'm unapologetically me. I'm still learning. I'm still grinding. I'm still figuring things out. I don't understand everything. I'm going to make mistakes. And you know what? I don't fault young people for making mistakes because you know what? I used to be young. I can't expect them to be 40 years old at 18. I can't expect
Yeah.
the 18-year-old to get $40 million. Oh, do the right thing. You know what I would do at 18, 20, 25, 30? Balling, you know? But at 41, I've lived long enough to tell the tale. So I'll help guide you. But I want young people and even women, men my age, to break things, to fail forward, to do all of these amazing things. Because you know what? When I was on a movie set in Malibu, I'm from St. Louis, y'all. I'm from the gritty grit. I'm from the get it out the mud hood ghetto, whatever.
Yeah.
But as I was sitting in this mansion in Malibu, and the song "The Hills" was out by oh god, you know who I'm talking about, The Weeknd. And as my PA was driving me up, I used to take pictures every day. But when I was there, I remember crying every morning and every night because my dreams were coming true and I didn't think I deserved it because of who I was and where I came from. And so to take it back to your question, you say most people would rather be anonymous. I don't think they would. I don't think they really want to, but it's easier to be in the background than it is to take your rightful position in history.
Yeah. So for you, have you always had this, I don't know, we'll call it a rock solid sense of like who you are and your worth?
No, I have not always had this positive image of myself. I have not always been who I am. As I've gotten older, I've grown to truly love myself, flaws and all. You know what I mean? I'm curvy. I'm not going to have six pack abs. I would love to be flued out by these wealthy gentlemen. But you know what? I'm 41. Those times have come and gone. And you know what I want to show? That you can have dreams and actually make them come true yourself. You don't have to depend on anyone but God and yourself. and your support network. And if you have a support network, great. If you don't, you've been given a vision. And because you've been given a vision, you just keep going, you know? And when I was younger, I so wanted to be, and dare I say this, but I so wanted to be like a white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've noticed, I have brown eyes. I have curly hair. You know. And
Got
I'm
it.
glad I went through that process because once you figure out who you really are, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm not saying that I didn't fight kicking and screaming to want to be somebody else for so long. Like, oh, I want to be like J Lo. Oh, I want to be like, I don't even know. I'm looking at a painting, like a watercolor of me. I went to an event and this woman did a watercolor of me. And every time I look at it, it's very simple, but it's so me. It's got so much personality. And I developed a personality because I never felt pretty. So I was always the funny one with the witty snapback comebacks. And
Yeah.
now I realize this is part of me now. I had to develop something to give myself a coping mechanism when a guy didn't like me or he liked my light skinned, green eyed sister. And now I don't even care because people are attracted to my light, not my darkness. So, yeah, I haven't always been this way. It took years. And I said I'm 41 and I'm glad for the journey because you can't have a testimony without a test.
That's so cool. I'm loving this. Um, any, I guess, guidance for someone who is where you were, wants to be where you are, and isn't sure how to go through that process internally of really owning who they are and being happy with who they are, rather than always regretful of what they're not?
It's the first thing that comes to mind is tough times don't last, tough people do. And as I was growing up, I used to always hear this in my mind: go big or go home. Fortune favors the bold. And as bold as I wanted to be, if I can keep it 100 with you, or as young people say, keep it a buck. I played respectability politics as a black woman, just doing it, just barely showing up, not fully embracing my light, not fully stepping into the fullness and essence of who I am. And it was always to my detriment. Now, what I want our young people, especially, to know is that you have your life. Your life is not created for everyone else's opinion. You've been given a vision. Go after it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, thank God that it didn't. Because you're actually living your life. Drake had a line in a song: everybody dies, but not everybody lives. Think about that. I'm living. I went through homelessness, abandonment, torture. Like I went through all the bad things you can think of in life. Addiction, like I went through it all. And just the other night, I was walking down the street. Yes, last night I was walking down the street and I saw people from my past. And do you know what it felt like to walk past? No anger, no nothing. I lived this life. I can say I live. When I'm sitting in a rocking chair at 90 years old, just rocking, and they're looking at me like, she's smiling. I'm like, yeah, because I got memories you don't.
Yeah.
I'm playing on the straight and narrow is cute. Getting your hands dirty is better.
That's so cool. Like, I'm speechless with how much I'm enjoying this. All right.
Yeah,
Um,
it is what it is. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I cut off all my hair on July 4th. I was going independent. Like, so many people want to box women and men into corners and say, you should be this, your hair should be parted in the middle, straight hair. Man, bump that. I'm not doing none of that. I want to live my life and I want to live it according to the purpose that he gave me. But he also wanted me to enjoy it. And so I could sit and work somewhere and be ready to curse out my coworkers, be ready to curse out my boss. And first of all, there's nothing wrong with having a job. Let's be clear about that. There's nothing wrong. I'm an entrepreneur because I wanted to do something my way, like Frank Sinatra, old blue
yeah.
eyes glistening. And because I've done it, what happens is that I've been hurt and I've fallen, I've made mistakes, and I live to tell the tale. I messed up for years. And now I can smile because I can say I learned through the process. Your greatest your greatest success is truly in the darkness of the moment and how you overcame. So I don't want anybody to watch this like, oh, she ain't go through. Yeah, I went through hell. I went to hell and back to get her. And if I had to do it all over again, hell yeah, I would do it again. I lived.
Yeah. So I recently, through a combination of variables, I would say, first half of this year, kind of let go of some of that myself, right? Let go of this idea of like, seeking approval of my employers and colleagues and, let go of fitting within the box people wanted me to fit within. Um, and for me, I did find a tremendous amount of freedom in that. Like once you've given up on having a reputation that you have to maintain and a certain, again, box you have to play in or lane you have to stay in, once you just say, you know what, F it. There's a tremendous amount of freedom in that. You suddenly feel like the whole world is open to you and you no longer have to
Yes.
play by these rules because you've gone ahead and just given up on playing that game and said, you know what? I can't play that game. I'm not playing that game. And for me, actually, I realized part of it came as a result of failure. So I kept failing at playing this game of being who people wanted me to be and doing the things people wanted me to do. And after one failure after another, I finally said, you know what? I'm out. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and do me and not worry about what any of my peers and colleagues think. So for me, it was failure that brought that freedom and that release because enough failures stacked on top of each other, playing the wrong game made me realize I just shouldn't be playing this game right now. That's not me, right? I should just be playing the game of being the best John I can be and not worry about any ruffles,
Yes.
feathers at my company. Did you feel the same kind of freedom? And for you, was it failure that brought on that freedom? I guess what brought you to that point
I
where
think
you let
part of it
go
is
of?
that, like you, part of it is that failure brought me here, but also realizing, like, when I was young, I used to watch Behind the Music, Dear Diary. Like, I like the real stories of how people make it, not the sanitized ink entrepreneur and fast company. Oh, they made this great decision. How many did they make 50 million bad ones before they got to that one? Trust me, they did. And so once I realized that life is a series of moments meant to take your breath away, meant to get you to a certain lane, and you learn so much more from your failures or your fail forwards than you will ever learn from success. Success makes you lulls you into, oh, you was always on point. No, you weren't. You know, I look at pictures of myself from high school because I have a high school buddy who likes to post new videos from high school. And I went to like high school from 1994 to 1997. I'm looking at these pictures. I'm like, I never realized how pretty I was. I never realized how talented I was because I always wanted to be someone else. All the years I wasted trying to be someone else. When I got kicked out of Georgetown University Law Center, yeah, I said it. I got kicked out of law school at Georgetown. For 5 years, I was so depressed. I was at Rutgers School of Law thinking, oh, this school doesn't rank up there. It's not as one of the top 10. And man, let me tell you something. Rutgers gave me a second chance. I finished past the bar on my first try and kicked in New York City as an attorney. What are you talking about? What you talking about? I don't care what anybody went to law school. I don't care that if you went to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Columbia. I don't care if you come from the greatest families, dynasties of all time. When you step in the ring with me, be ready. Because I've been waiting for this moment a long time to prove I'm the best in the world at what I do. And I paid the cost to be the boss. Meaning I went through hell to get here, and I'll take you through hell to fight me. And so it took failure. Like 3 years ago, I'm sitting there looking out the window of this program, just kind of like, I'll never speak again. I got to get used to the idea that a high paying job is all I should care about. And I could never do it because it was like your destiny lies in your greatest challenge. And because I overcame that and a severe alcohol addiction, been clean and sober for 3.5 years. Oh gosh, it's just amazing. I had to go through the muck and the mire and get it out of the mud and fight my way to find the diamond. And so that's how it happened. It wasn't my success that taught me the good things. It was the failures that made me fail forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I hadn't quite put that lens on it before, but like I said a few minutes ago, I really do think it was my failures this year that
Hmm.
kind of set me free from being in that trap, right?
Yeah.
Um, Something I hear from a lot of people that I've experienced myself is anytime you want to do something new, bold, audacious. There's a part of you, there's two things that go on. One is that other people's view of you and who you are and the things you can do isn't flexible enough to accommodate you starting your own business, you starting a YouTube channel. But the other thing that happens is I think a lot of times your own view of yourself isn't flexible enough to accommodate doing new and different things, right? Because we
Yes.
all have this role we play in life. We never totally pay a lot of attention to it, but there are definitely rules in place to what role we play. And whenever we try to act out of it, there, again, we feel the pushback from other people, but we feel the pushback internally too. And I felt a lot of that, right? So I'm just like a regular run-of-the-mill entry-level software sales guy, right? Like people like me don't have podcasts. People like me generally don't have big personal brands on LinkedIn. So when I started in this space of, being active on LinkedIn in 2019 and starting this podcast beginning of 2020, I had a lot of that to go through.
You're right.
Additionally, with the killing of George Floyd, I realized that one of my roles in life is to speak up and be actively anti-racist and educate people on the topic, which again didn't feel like the thing a young white guy should be doing, right? It didn't feel like my
Right.
place. It didn't feel like who I was. No one who knew me had ever seen me doing stuff like that and speaking up about stuff like that. So I felt this hesitation to do something outside of my role and do something unexpected. And through all of these things, I've come up with this maybe theory or encouragement for people that when you want to make a change like that, a change to your life, a change to your behavior, a change to your voice, whatever, one of the first things you need to do is quickly trash your reputation. And what I mean by that is the reputation you have for being a person who doesn't do these things and who does do these things, you need to get rid of that. Because once you get to the point where people say, I don't know what the hell to expect out of John anymore, he's always doing crazy stuff, there's a lot of freedom in that. Once you
Yes.
have broken the mold so many times that people can't trust you to stay within the mold anymore, suddenly that becomes your new mold, right? Your
Yeah.
new box people put you in is now a bigger box that allows for all this stuff. So when you're feeling like you can't break the rules because you have this reputation to uphold, right, of being the person who just follows straight and narrow, the first thing you need to do is quickly and decisively shatter that reputation and spoil everyone's views of you and contradict and crush everyone's preconceived notions about who you are as quickly as you can. Because once you've broken those rules, you're suddenly free because now your reputation includes doing crazy wild off the rails shit that I never expected John to do, right? And once your reputation includes that, my God, there's so much freedom in that. I feel so free right now
Yes.
because at my company and on LinkedIn, I have already broken people's expectations so many times and just done shit that no one else has done, that they're confused why I'm even doing it. Now people expect that out of me. When I do something wild and crazy and harebrained, now they just
That's
go
not
with me
like him.
and to expect it. So I mean, does that resonate with you? Would you agree? Am I,
Of
am I thinking
course
the
it
right thoughts? Because
resonates
this
with
is new.
me. Yes, of course it resonates with me. I had to shatter the image in my mind of who I am and who I was and who I know myself to be now. And in order to do that, in order to go to that next level, there's a lot of things you have to, we always talk about the box, right? But there's so much more in the box that you never think about. Oh, I want to appear perfect. Oh, they'll never buy from me. Man, F all that. F all that. Like, I'm creating something and I'm happy about it. A lot of people are like, whoa, it needs to be on the billboard. It's number one in the billboard. It needs to be this and that. How come can't I just do this for the pure enjoyment of me? And when the tribe that fits my vibe gets around it, oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. I would rather the slow, steady to the extraordinary than this fast ride that leads nowhere. Like I like the creating part. Like I'm a poet, right? I really think I'm a rapper, but we're not gonna address that issue. Okay, so like putting words together and making them more beautiful, and it's like when I read Shakespeare, is it sonnet 25? Whatever, sonnet 25, like shall I compare thee to a summer's day? When I was in high school, I couldn't read Shakespeare to save my life. I didn't understand anything. I got to college, was a psych major. And when I decided to be an English major, I felt so dumb. I went to inner city high school, so I didn't think I could handle it. Then I started writing my own poetry in a psych ward. I started writing poetry in a psych ward 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And it freed me because I was no longer who what people expected me to be. I could put words together. You might be thinking, but that's part of being a killer pitch. No, it's not. Being a poet, being a killer pitch master, being a world-class master communicator, I can do it in all realms now. But before I thought I wasn't good enough because I wasn't Shakespeare. Now I know I'm the great Precious Williams, and I had to go through it to get there. So when you're talking about breaking the mold and pushing through and challenging yourself and not allowing the world to dictate who you are, but defining it on your terms, and you're still learning and growing because you're pushing through. That's why we're going to remember you. We remember people who just said, that's society's way. But I'm like Tesla. There's more to life than this. There's radio waves, there's electromagnetic stuff, like stuff that I don't know anything about, but I just love the thought of, like, man, I think I could understand that. But if I stayed in the hood of St. Louis, you know what I would have understood? Multiple baby daddies in the projects. I would have been led by emotion with everything. And now I'm not. So thank you.
Yeah. So yes, I'm going to double down on that advice then for anyone listening. If you feel like your reputation is holding you back, just go wreck that reputation as fast as
Break it.
possible. Tear
Rip it
that
down.
Band-Aid off, right?
Yes, rip it.
Okay, cool. I guess one last question I'm curious about. Where do you feel that your value comes from?
My value truly comes from God, and my value comes from my purpose. God blessed me with a grandmother named Precious Williams. And through her, when I was 15 years old, she saw me. And I'll just tell you this short, brief story. My grandmother never allowed me to cook, never really allowed me to clean. And at the time, for a young person, heck yeah. To my family, they were like, why are you doing that? She should be doing what we do. And she said, if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. And most of my family members have drug addiction, stuff like that. She said, Precious isn't domestic. She'll have people do that for her. She's the golden child. I still think about that today. She saw me. She didn't see me as like this extension of her, cook, clean, multiple babies. Like, no, she saw me as different. And even if the world didn't see me as different, she saw me. And she said, this is the one that's going to go to college. This is the one that's going to break the mold. This is the one who's going to break the generational curse. So if God had not blessed me with being her grandchild, who somehow became her child, I wouldn't be here. And that's why when I wake up in the morning, I praise God, but I also think of my grandmother every day. Because for every speaking engagement I get, for everything that I've been blessed with, I just moved into a 2-bedroom spacious apartment in the middle of a freaking pandemic, an economic downturn and social unrest. Who does that? He does. And because she saw me, that's why I can talk to you.
It's incredible. So some major takeaways from me here, Precious, right? One is, if you're in that place where you're scared of, embarrassment, etc., try to shift your attention to, are you really comfortable with obscurity and anonymity, right? If you can learn to fear anonymity more than you fear embarrassment, that'll help you.
Right.
The other thing I heard from you is that, in your moments where you have to make yourself vulnerable, like, taking a video in front of, big shot people with a tooth missing, you need to see a higher calling in your work, right? See a higher
Yes.
purpose in the work that you're doing, because once you get a higher purpose to something, you can endure almost any sort of discomfort. What other takeaways would you add? Because we've been riffing for a long time here. I feel like I'm losing track of some of it.
I think, and another thing, we talked about so much in such a short period of time. Another thing is, it's not supposed to be easy. It's not. To be who you're supposed to be is not supposed to be easy. You're supposed to go through challenges that give you the testicular fortitude to really see who you really are. And it's only when it's forged in fire do you really see how great you really are. There is no test without a testimony. And to be the best, as Ric Flair said, to be the best, you've got to beat the best. So who do you want to beat? If you're going to be a McDonald's, do you have to have a Burger King? Now I feel like I'm Craig's in Hollywood going up against Nobu. Do you see how we went from McDonald's to Craig's, from Burger King to Nobu? I stepped my game up, and so can you.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Precious. I absolutely guarantee you people who listen to this interview are going to want more Precious in their life. So where should people turn to get in contact with you?
Okay, so you can go to my website, www.perfectpitchesbyprecious.com. If you want to email me, I'm at precious@perfectpitchesbyprecious.com. I wrote two number one bestsellers. The first one is Bad Bitches and Power Pitches for women entrepreneurs and speakers only. There's only one Precious Williams who wrote that book. And then I wrote the companion workbook. You can get that at Amazon.com. You can get it on my website. You can get it at Walmart.com, Target, Barnes and Noble. Listen, wherever books are sold, go ahead and get it. And if you want to take the time to actually work with me on, becoming the best communicator and getting out of anonymity and into your destiny, you can go on to my website at www.perfectpitchesbyprecious.com/store, or just work with me on the site. You'll see work with me, and you'll see my different services and products that were created with you in mind, from digital to one-on-one to group. And that's how you can get in contact with me. On Twitter, I'm at Perfect Pitch P. On Facebook, I'm at Perfect Pitch P. On Instagram, I'm at Perfect Pitches P. And on LinkedIn, I am Precious L. Williams, killer pitch master, staying on brand all day, every day.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Precious. This was truly amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.